Hi and welcome back to Crafting Some Ambience. I'm Kerry, I'm from the UK and I love making lots of different miniatures and big real world crafts to brighten up my home and my dollhouse and my day. I enjoy the process of crafting. Welcome back. I hope you've had a lovely week. I hope that slowly the weather improves and it gets a little milder, and I hope that if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. It's wonderful to have you here. I am loving the sense of community with crafting online. It's really lovely to chat and connect with people who enjoy doing the same things that I do. And I really hope that you'll consider subscribing and you'll be able to see more, and we'll be able to get to know each other a little better and share each other's crafts and support and encourage each other. This week I saw a social media post by Hobbycraft, which in the UK Hobbycraft is a big craft store chain, and it sells a bit of everything craft wise. I'm not sponsored by them, I haven't been gifted anything, I'm not employed by them. It's just I saw a post for dry clay bookmarks, and as usual with any craft, I will take inspiration from the post. I will give credit, so Hobbycraft posted it, and I will take their idea and make it their own. They did things like little croissants and things, so I am going to do some bookmarks that me and my family would really like. So first of all, I'm going to make sure the clay is nice and soft, and I'm going to make sure that it's a shape that's big enough to sit at the top of the page, a good enough size that it'll accept the paper clips, which is what will go into the pages. So as you can see here, we can go and get that in, and I'm gonna pinch that shut so that the clay is really holding the paper clip. Doesn't look like it's going to fall out of there. And I also want to make sure that it's far enough down the paper clip that you can open the paper clip. Yeah, and that's okay. And this one is going to be, let's cut it down a little bit. A CD player, or maybe a record player. That would be a bit nicer, wouldn't it? So let's get the turntable. I'm gonna press that round shape and cut round that, because my daughter's really into her music and enjoys going to concerts and finding new bands and CDs and things like that. So we're then going to make grooves for the grooves on the record and the centre of the stylus. In fact, there's usually a little bit in the centre, and then we're going to do like we did on the mug, and we're going to make some grooves, score it a little. Oops, it's not staying on too well. Give that a little bit of help. Then we're gonna wet so that it sticks. Now we need our arm and our stylus. Again, scoring. Wetting. And then we'll score and wet the top here so we can attach the arm to it. So that the arm and the stylus, and then we'll just do some little grooves for buttons and things, and some speaker type marks on the sides so that it suggests that. And then there is a little record player that we will paint up once the clay is dry. And also I think my daughter would quite like nice traditional book. My daughter's at university and working very hard. So we will get another paper clip, and again we will stick it in and make sure it's tight, and also make sure that the paper clip can move. Now we are going to make the markings for when we paint it of the binding, and then pages, around the sides, and then the spine of the book. And now some decoration on the front. I'm making it look like one of those classic really big old-fashioned tomes. And the suggestion of some writing. on the front. And now some markings on the back. And then that will be a bookmark for a bookworm. Now, my husband. I'm going to shape this like a fish. And fins on the sides. Again, stick that fin on. Get the paper clip, push in, make sure it's pinched in. Yep. Now we need to add some details for when I'm painting. So there's an eye and a mouth and some gills, some marks on the fins and the tail. Another eye, some more gills, and I'll make sure that I paint this nicely so that he gets a fish. He also loves darts, so I'm going to try and make like a semi 3D dart flight kind of shape. So make those a bit more defined, and then let's make out the that's to the front, and then at the back like it's the two more from the side. Let's get the paper clip, push it in. Wonder what hobbies you have. I mean, crafting probably. But what else do you enjoy doing it'd be really fascinating to find out more about the people who are watching. So, me. I like crafting and art, so I might cut this down a little bit. Make a more kind of kidney beanie shape. Make quite a deep hole there, and then slightly dig out some circular shapes. For when I'm painting. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, because I love rainbow colours, so it's got to be 7 holes for 7 paints. Oh, or there's trouble. Get the paper clip in. Make sure it's pinched down. Now with the thickness of these housing the paper clips, probably will take a day or two for definite. That is going to be a paint palette for crafting. Then I also enjoy watching rugby league. So I'm going to make as close to a rugby league ball shape as I can. Make sure the paper clip goes in, pinch it in, and then my team, I say my team like I own it, I don't own it, but the team who I support have a red and white home kit and quite often has a red V on a white background. So I'm going to keep the decoration nice and simple for that, and I'll do a red V on a white background. And then I've got a spare one, so my daughter can have another one, and she loves watching our favourite team play football. And because we are in the UK, it's football. Sorry guys. And then we will make some hexagons, and I will paint the hexagons in the colours of our favourite team, but also my daughter's favourite team, obviously. These hexagons are going a little skew. Yeah, on Kelly. We're getting there. We're getting better now. And then using these lines, I shall paint it in our team's colours. And our team's main colour is red. And then I think I'll do it red, and then I'll do the away kit colour so that there's a bit of a contrast. So there's the air dry clay part done, and we can have a wonderful time when they're dry painting them. I really enjoyed doing that, and simple but really effective little gifts. So I mean, Christmas has come and gone, but I mean, one of these would make an ideal little stocking filler or something in an advent calendar or something. I think these are really good. So I enjoyed doing that, and thank you to Hobbycraft for posting the video and inspiring me. And I shall see you when they're dry. See you soon. Hi, welcome back. I think we're dry. There's no darker areas on the clay on any side, so that generally means that the moisture's come out, because the darker areas is where it's still wet. I would say paint one side then the other, however I have some handy packaging that came lately, so I'm going to put this piece of polystyrene behind there so it doesn't look horrendous. But then as I paint each one all the way around, I'm gonna stick the paper clip into the polystyrene so they stand up, and that's why I'm painting it all the way around. If you don't have something like that, then you'd have to paint a side, let it dry, you know, and rotate it. Okay, so I'm going to do lighter colour first and the rest of the way around. I have a new paint palette to ruin and destroy like I did the last one. Let's see how long that lasts. It's got my name on it and everything. And let's get painting. Wow, first coat of paint done. So, leaving them to dry, then we do another coat of all the details, the shadowing, the highlights, the text, anything like that. Again, you can paint all the way around if you've got something to squish them into. Just be careful that you do leave a little gap for her to dry the bottom, otherwise it's not gonna dry, and you do need with her dry clay to let it dry as well as possible and as quickly as possible. So when these are dry, I'll get cracking with all the details, and I'll see you in a bit. Hi, welcome back. Different camera setup today. You can just about see my Welsh dresser Daffod in the background, and we have our first layer bookmarks painted up. Again, using the polystyrene to hold them so I can do whichever sides I want. Final details today, so let's get busy. I think this one was pretty much already sorted. I wanted to do a little bit of wood grain in this one with a darker colour. Just little suggestions. Maybe more of a texture around the back because there's more space. A few little knots. Oops, I've not stood up that up very well. That's a bit more like it, so that it doesn't flop into something else a tiny bit, just to slightly define. I think that's a bit much actually on that top, just for like take a bit of that off, just for the grooves in the pages and to age it a little bit. Now, fish. Don't want to go mad with fish. I think he's quite alright. Just a little bit of definition where needed. Otherwise he does look a bit flat, doesn't he? A little bit of shadowing maybe under that fin. I might want to just make that a little bit more subtle, otherwise it's going to look a bit cartoony, which, you know, there's no problem with, but it's not really what I'm going for. That's it. That's more like it. Again, a suggestion, not a shout. Just a little bit. Just to kind of give a little bit of shadow. Where the different parts of the flight go in front and behind. On the football, I'm just going to do some letters for my daughter's favourite football team. For those in America, I mean football, soccer, not American football. I didn't think I'd do well doing the live bird, so I've done lettering. Again, on the rugby ball. Just going to do some simple lettering as neatly as my hand will allow. For my favourite rugby league team. Right, we've got to let these dry and then we can varnish them and then use them in our books. Brilliant. Hi. They're all varnished and all detailed and ready to try one. So I've got one of the books that I've got on the go. Let's see if my bookmark works. Hey! That's so cool. And it's a non-fiction book that I'm reading about history and about women in history. I wonder what books that you're reading right now. Fun craft, very personalised, can make it pretty much anything that you can make with clay feasibly. And I'll get my other one ready for my bus book. I always have a book for the bus. And I hope that you have a lovely week, and if you give these a try, let me know, because I'd be really interested to see what you use, what your symbols and images are, and what's important to you. And stay safe, stay kind, and have a wonderful crafty week. Hi. While we were doing the bookmarks, thought we'd have a little experiment. My good friend Liz showed me a wooden page holder, and I wondered if I could get air dry clay and make one myself, because you can put your thumb through it and then it holds both sides of your book open. So I'm just trying to get a nice kind of semicircle shape at first with the clay. So flat bottom, and then I'm just cupping it with my hand really to make it rounder. Flatten it a bit so it's a bit nicer. And then I shall try to take a little bit from either side and then tidy it up around the edges, because it will look like you've cut it. So just smooth it. And then try it again on the other side. Smooth it. I think I need a little more clay on this side. think I got a bit overzealous with how much I took off. Get the base flat again. And like manipulate it so it and then we're going to try and get a hole in the middle. Now that's got to fit your thumb. Because I just wondered if I could do it in clay instead. And then we shall smooth the inside of the hole with my finger, just rubbing it round so that everything looks and feels smooth and rounded. So my thumb just fits, so I might need a little bit more out, just so that it's not tight on my thumb. I know it'll shrink a bit as it dries, but there's no point making one and then you can't get your thumb back out of it. Okay. See, now that's absolute trying. So I'm just going to point it a bit more because I don't want it too wide at the bottom because it's going to spoil the book. It needs to fit between 2 pages without damaging anything. Okay, so in theory that goes between the 2 halves of the book. Your thumb goes through there, your hand goes to the base of the book, and you can hold your book in one open in one hand. So we shall see how this dries. Test it in a book, and if it works, then we shall paint and varnish it. But yeah, we shall see. Shall see how we get on. Okie dokie, we are back with the page holders. I've tested them, and whilst they're not the widest ones in the world, they do function absolutely fine. And I think a smaller one will be better because one person I'm giving one to does have slightly more petite hands. So I'm going to get the first coat of paint on the top sides. Then when that's dry, we'll do the detail on the top sides. and then we shall do the base for the back and the detail for the back. Okie dokie. So first, this one's going to be like a vintage record player. And I think I'm going to go green for, like, you know, the middle of the record where they put like the album and the artist and things. So that I'm going to use round the thumb hole. This one's going to be for my daughter because, spookily enough, she didn't know I'd made any. And then I was chatting to her on WhatsApp. She'd been quite ill, so she'd lost her voice, so we weren't ringing, we were WhatsApping. And she's all right now, bless her cotton socks. She's a brave soldier, because she wasn't feeling well at all. And it's not like her. She had mentioned book clips because next year she'll be in her 3rd year of university and doing her dissertation. And to hold books open while she's doing a lot of typing and checking and things like that would be really good. So I said, obviously we'll still get her the book clips because this doesn't do what the book clip does, but that I'd made these so she can hold a book in one hand. And she said, "Oh, I was looking at those." So wasn't that fortuitous? So I said to her, "What design would you like?" And she said either a record player or a dragonfly. So I've done a bookmark, haven't I, with a record player. So I thought, up, I shall do a record player and make it coordinating. Like I'd planned it or something. So these are just the basic first layers of the wood of the record player, the black vinyl and the centre of the record. When this is dry, we'll do things like the arm and the stylus, buttons, grooves on the record, all the detaily good stuff. And then I shall do the same on the back so she can use it on either side, and it has 2 nicely decorated sides. Just got a bit smidgy smudgy. So just top and side for now, and then I shall get this drying. And I'll do some wood grain on the sides just to give it a bit of je ne sais quoi. But that will have to be when it's dry. Otherwise it'll all go smudgy and it'll just become an exercise in mud mixing. Okie dokie, so that one can go to dry. Now, I was thinking of one for myself with a hobbit hole. However, I thought my daughter's boyfriend is also going to be doing his dissertation, and he's a history boy, so you know, lots of books. So I'm going to do one for him. and he's into games and crafting and, oh, honestly, all the cool stuff. And he's really creative, and he loves his movies. And one of the movies he likes is the Spider-Man series. So I'm going to do a simple Spider-Man. I'm not going to go too ambitious. I'm going to make it so that the level of detail means that I don't overcrowd it so you can't tell what on earth it is, and I don't do something with the best intentions but ends up looking, for want of a better word, like a dog's dinner. Because I do like Theo a lot, so I'd like him to like it. that would be quite nice. He doesn't have to like it. However, if I can make it so that he does, that would be very nice. And obviously I will have given this to him before I put the video up, so I'm not spoiling any surprises. And I'm using the craft paintbrushes because, of course, with the surface of the clay not being quite pristine with me still learning, I don't want to damage my posh painting ones. So on this I'm going to do like a round there as if it's Spider-Man's eye, and then webs coming out of it, so it's like one part of his face, and then I shall do the same on the back. So once this is dried, I'll see you in a bit. Next side. Here we go. So again, this is just our flat colour for the base. So this one's going to be a Spider-Man one, so it's all red. And this one is going to be the record player. So we've got the centre of the record, and then the vinyl. We'll go in with details of the arm and the stylus and the buttons and the wood grain and everything once this dries, because otherwise we'll just end up with everything in one big splodgy layer, and that's not what I'm looking for. There we go. Right. This will dry before tomorrow, but it'll be tomorrow now because I've got a lot of editing and and all those creative bits to do. So I shall see you in a bit. Okie dokie. So we are back. We have 2 painted sides. And now we can make it detailed. So I'm going going to try and make some grooves on the record. I'm not trying to make it one continuous line, I'm just trying to suggest the line going around. Some buttons on the side, so a round one, long one, maybe one that looks like a slider kind of button, and just add a little bit more to that. I've got some gold, and that is going to be for my stylus and the arm. And then there's where the arm is held. I think I'll try and get a little bit of silver for the pin. And then I think I'll balance it like that because I want to make some little attempts at wood grain going along. Again, I'm not an expert in painting wood grain, but I am trying to do some long lines because nothing's going to constantly have knots in it. But I am trying to give the odd little, almost like a leaf shape, and then put lines through that to make the odd bit of interest in the wood. And then where things are more detailed, just the odd little gesture. And then once that's dry, we'll flip it over and do the other side. So I'm going to pop that down. And let's have a go at Spider-Man. I was looking at his face mask, and it has, I've not done it perfectly, but I've just tried for like a cat's eye glasses kind of shape. And then we shall try and visualise where a web would be going. So let's start with our diagonals, because that'll give us where to go in between. I'm just looping between the two with a slight curve. And then I'm going to continue these lines down so that everything kind of flows. And it also makes a few choices for me. imagine we're going to need a bit of a line there. Same on this side. And we'll do it on the underside when the paint's dry. I will endeavour to make it as lined up as possible, because I do want it to be really nice. Don't want it to look terrible. Might at the top just make the webs join. So it's taking shape. It'll take better shape without my finger in the middle, I think, for you to visualise. And then we shall flip it over and do the other side. And then we shall varnish them. And then my two historians can have a page holder. I've made another one because I was going to do me a hobbit hole one. So I've made another one because I want one. Want one. Want one. And this way, Amy and Theo get one and I get one. Amy's matches bookmark. Theo matches his interests. And mine's Tolkien. So I shall leave this paint on my palette because that won't take forever to dry because it's just acrylic. And I shall go and amuse myself while this dries, and then we can crack on with the other side. See you in a bit.